Hello and welcome to the second episode of Match Catch. We're here today at the beautiful Glebe Fishery in Leicestershire. We're sat on Lake 6, peg 86, which is called the little girl's peg.
Yeah.
So, Sam, just run us through what you think is the best approach.
Yeah, so obviously you get a lot of big matches here at the Glebe, and some of the rules are a bit different. So on the feeder line, you've got to use a cage feeder instead of a method feeder and a 20-inch hook link. So it's all a bit different, and it can confuse a lot of people. It's also like a private club member's water, so a lot of people don't get to come and practice. So that's why we've come here today and done the video, so we can show you how to do it, haven't we, Tom?
Yeah, so are you just going to run us through your rigs? And obviously the feeder rig's completely different to anywhere else you go. Yeah. You've got to have like a 20-inch hook link.
Yeah, so a lot of the matches here as well, it's every peg. So what I've done is I've kept it dead simple, because it's still coming into spring. The weather's been a bit funny recently, so I've set a long pole line up. That's just to fish 6mm pellets, nice and simple. Hopefully get a few bites. But we've sat on an end peg as well. So if you are lucky enough to draw the end peg, we'll show you how to get the best of it and not hopefully mess it all up. But also we set a feeder rod up to the far side, which can be a match-winning line at this venue.
So now then, Sam, run us through your rigs.
Yeah, so we'll start off with the long pellet line rig. So elastic for this, we've got grey hydro elastic. It's nice and soft on the stripe, but I've also got the puller bung to allow me to hook them better fish when I hook them, but it's also soft enough to allow for skimmers, which you get quite a lot of these at the Glebe. Coming down to the main line, I've got 019 main line, nice, strong and drawable. There's no point messing around here because they're absolutely mental, these carp are. So that can't let me down. If that snaps in the middle of the match and I'm catching it, I'm just going to waste time. It's absolutely pointless. You're looking for weights in excess of 250 pounds at times, even in these qualifiers for every pegging, so you've got to really go for it. Then we come into the float, Tom. Got a 0.5 Mick Wilkinson diamond
I can see
float.
there you're using a diamond float. What's the...
For carp fishing, I really like diamond floats. Like, I've used them for years, and they've never let me down. They're strong and durable, and any conditions just seem to sit really well. Even a 0.5, if it's blowing a gale, it sits absolutely perfect.
They're real strong floats as well.
Yeah, they're really long as well. I mean, what's that? It's probably 8 or 9 inches long, so it just adds for stability in the water. And it's also got fiberglass stem, which is sort of in between wire and a carbon, so it's just all about stability.
And it's like real robust, so like if you foul hooked one, it's like if you foul hooked one and then got it back to...
these floats are I've never had one break. They're so strong, and that's why I like that.
That's
also,
exactly what you need here.
It's got a 2mm tip, which I like for hard pellets, 6mm hard pellets, so for bigger baits, always go for a 2mm carp fishing. You just identify the liners and proper bites. So what we'll do now, we're coming down to the shotting pattern. What I've gone for, I've got a little bulk of number 8s there. And what I have is two number 9 droppers. So you can get the odd fish on the drop with this method. So I just basically fish a bulk and 2 droppers. And I tend to stick to this. If I wanted to, I can change it, I can string it out, but to be honest, I just normally stick with that, even a bulk and 1, if the fishing's really good. Keep it dead simple. And we come on to the hook link. I've got 017. Now, it's slightly narrower in the main line, but it's still spring, so we can get away with it. If it was the middle of the summer, I'd use 019. I really wouldn't mess around at this venue. And then we're coming on to the hook. I've got 16 SMWG hook. Nice and strong and durable. I mean, we use LWGs a lot, don't we? But when you come in here, you can't afford to mess around. I've tried it before, and fishing light, it doesn't make a blind bit of difference, so you've got to be dead positive.
Like the fish in here, they fight so hard, and you can't be messing about. You don't want to straighten hooks or anything like that.
No.
So you need to be just strong and robust.
Yeah, I mean, if you're catching such great big weights as well, the fish, you're not fussy what your line looks like. It's got to be strong and durable. You can't mess about, it's no point. So what we'll do now, we'll run into the up the bank line rig. I'll be fishing 40 metres up the bank, which hopefully will end the session on and catch a few fish. So again, we've got grey hydro elastic. Now again, it's soft and stretchy, but what you get here on the MPEX, the fish will shoot up the bank and try and bottom you out. Like if I use black hydro, you're just going to get bottomed out and bust you.
Like grey's nice and soft.
Yeah, it's nice and soft, it stretches forever. And you can almost let them tire themselves out with it. You just let them go to the far bank and come back and do what they ever do.
I can see you got another diamond float on there.
Yeah, that's a Mam Snake, that float is. It's just a bit shorter than a Mick Wilkinson diamond. That's a 4x14 this time. I just love my diamond floats.
I can see you got a bit of a back shot there as well.
Yeah, I got a back shot. Same on the other rig as well. I always use a back shot. It just helps keep that sort of right angle on your line to your float.
And everything like tight. Real straight and
yeah, but
neat.
obviously you're different on back shots. It's all personal preference, but that's my preference, having it slightly above the float.
Yep.
019 mainline again, exactly the same. Shotting pattern wise, I'm going to start, it might be hard to start with, so I've started off with just slightly a strung rig of number 9s. But if there's a lot of fish then it's really good, I'll just simply bolt them on top of the hook link, keep it dead simple. Because when they're coming into your peg, they're coming in to feed, so there's no point with a fluttery little girly rig if there's a big weight to be caught there.
What size hook length have you got on there?
Again, it's exactly the same hook link as before. We've got 017 line and we've got 16 SMWG. Again, it's a 6-inch hook link. I like 6 inches for carp, I do.
Yeah.
When I'm fishing in deeper water with hard pellets, the bait's heavy. I just think they like watching that fall. They're a bit more wary and stuff like that. So, also, when we're fishing down the edge, I come away from the bank because again, we've had cold nights and everything. I'm looking at 2.5 foot. But I've also found, when I'm showing you how to plumb up, here at the Glebe, you get a lot of rocks close in the edge, and I've always found, if you come down the shelf a bit, where it's a bit flat at bottom, you get better bites, no foul hookers and no
And it's like
bites.
real flat down there when
yeah,
you plumbed
it's like
up.
a plateau almost. But there's
Yeah.
still a few rocks, so I've come to the edge of that and found where I want to fish, but we'll run through that when we're plumbing up.
Yep.
So then we'll run on to the feeder rod.
Now the feeder here it's like one of its own, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's unusual, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's quite specialist in its own right, because it's not like anywhere else, is it? So
No, it's like one of them methods there. Like when you run through the rig, there's like different ways you can set the feeder up. But
Yeah.
there's also ways that when you're reeling in here, like you're casting so many times,
Yeah.
you can get tangled so easily. Like Sam will show you now. Like the best way that I've found, and like me and him have both found, is the way he sets it up is like it minimises tangles like that. Like if you're really casting out there, and then you're getting a tangle, or your hook length's not tangled around your feeder or something like
yeah,
that.
getting like spin ups in it. It can be a right mess, but this setup, it just stops all that, and it's just a lot better in it.
Do you want to show you what's the setup is?
Yeah, well, we'll start off with the rod. We've got 11-foot tournament rod. Now, I like 11-foot here at the Glebe. It covers every sort of cast I'm going to be faced with, like even if it's a short chuck, a long chuck. So I just keep it simple, 11-foot rod. The reel line, we've got 8-pound hyper sensor. Now, 8 pounds quite strong, but again, it's got to be strong and durable. It can't let me down because I pull like crazy here. Got that hyper sensor as well. It's a slightly lower diameter, so I can get away even if I'm chucking quite a distance. So we've got a 3012 T-Dar reel as well. When we come onto the feeder setup, this is where it gets quite interesting. I've got helicopter rig. Now, the way I like to do this is I like to just put a line stop on the line, and then one of these little quick change swivel things that Rich will zoom into in a minute. Then another line stop, and then just a snap swivel. And you don't fish it like you do for bream, like conventionally. You shove it all the way down, so it's like a bolt rig. But the beauty of this, it never tangles, so you're not getting any spin ups or whatever, anything like that. And it's just, you've got to be in and out here when you're trying to build a swim, especially in the summer. And if your hook link's all ravelling up and everything like that, it's just time wasting. It's no good, is it, Tom?
No. And also, like, how have you connected your little like quick change?
Yeah, we've got a little quick change swivel. I don't know the actual name of them, but like Rich will be able to zoom in onto them. So when we're doing it, so
Yeah.
So we'll come up what we've got on the hook link. We've got 019 again, which I like here. And then on the hook wise, we've got a size 12 QM1. Again, not messing about. You're looking for big weights.
They're really strong hooks and real
Yeah,
stay
I mean, if you lose one on that, if it's hooked in the mouth, it's rare, isn't it? It's just not going to let you down. And then on to that, at the minute, we've got a bayonet in a loop. That's been for a wafter. Again, Rich will zoom into that and show you exactly how he likes to do that. But I like to start off on wafters to start with, and then if I'm thinking dead maggots are going to be better, then I'll just simply put another hook link on or bite the bayonet off. Simple as that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right, that's the rigs.
That's all the rigs, and
let's get
what we're
fishing.
doing.
So now we're on the peg with Sam. He's going to start on the feeder. So
Yeah, what we'll do, Tom, we'll just quickly run through bait. So my first bait of the day, I've just got some 2mm carp pellets. Now I'm going to be chucking these on the feeder. You can use ground bait, but I prefer pellets because they're a bit heavier and they don't waft up so much. So that's my selection on the feeder, just a tub of them. We've got some dead maggots. Now I can put a few of these through the feeder if I need to, but they're mainly for the hook. So say if it's not quite going for me, I'll try put a lot of these dead maggots in, like make something try and happen. And then for actually feeding on the pole, what I've got is just a tub of 6mm for the margins and into the lake. I just find these the best bait to use here, so you just don't get as many foul hookers or any problem with line bites. If the fish in your peg, you'll catch on these, so just keep it dead simple.
So what have you opted for there, Sam? You opted to loose feed pellets,
Yeah, I'll just go through the hook baits as well on the feeder. As well as dead maggots, I've just got some wowsers, like a wafter. I've just got some white ones and some like pinky red ones. Just keep the colours simple. Normally start on the white because the water's still quite clear and all that. So first start on the white and fill my way into it.
Yeah, so touching back on the pellets, obviously you've not got a pot on your pole.
Yeah.
So you lose feeding pellets. You're not gonna pot until you go on it, are you?
No. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just catapult a few in, sort of like 5 every sort of 5 minutes or something like that. Just keep a bit going through the water in the edges and up the bank to my left, and just fill my way into it. So then when I actually go and fish on it, I'll change the way I feed when we'll come into that when I go onto the pole. So just flick a few in and keep the fish on the area. Should we start on the feeder?
Yeah,
right.
Have a chuck on the feeder and start the session on that and see how we get on.
So Tom, what we're going to start on is a white wowser.
Do you always find that white's the best colour at the minute?
I think because we're just coming out of winter, and obviously bread's a good winter bait, and the colour of the water, it's still a bit clear, it's visual, and it's always been a good bait here as well. So,
like, when would you opt to, like, obviously today you've only got micros.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes would you mix like micros and ground bait and like?
You can do, but the problem is here, you've got to be really careful with foul hookers, because obviously you've got your 20-inch hook link, and if you add too much ground bait, you're likely to foul up the fish.
Yeah.
Like, they waft it up everywhere. So you've got to try and control your peg. So the more particles you can put in, the better it is normally. So even in the summer, I'd even put casters and hemp in, and just cap it with micros, keep it all heavy, and keep the fish pinned on the bottom, because it can be a nightmare with this hook link. But at this time of year, just stick with micros and fill my way, and it's always a safe bet. We're just coming out of winter, so we don't bother with ground bait to start with.
Obviously here at the Glebe you're only allowed to fish a cage feeder, so you're starting on a little 5-hole area, is that? Or
little 4-hole, quite a small feeder, just literally fill it up with micros and fishing a wafter on the hook. And what we'll do is we'll just fill away into the session with that. So we'll whiz this over to the far bank.
So you're just aiming for that post out there, are you?
Yeah. Just on that post there. Now every peg here at the Glebe, you've got markers which you have to chuck to, so that's what I like to chuck to. Another thing is I've got a stopwatch on my side tray.
Yeah.
So I use this just to count the casts. Now, because it's still a bit cold, I'm going to give it 2 or 3 minutes. But if it was middle of summer, I wouldn't even bother sinking my line. I'd just put my rod straight on the rest, give it a minute. Because you're trying to build a swim on the feeder, because it's not like a method feeder where you've got a perfect trap.
No.
So that's all set in place now. Then literally, I just pick my catapult up, 4 or 5 pellets, on my 40-metre line like that.
When would you like?
And then again, the same down the edge, like that. It's dead simple. And I do that just on a repetitive basis. Then I've got 3 lines there I'm working. I'm not overcomplicating it.
When would you opt to like change to maybe like dead maggots on the feeder, or like changing it?
I tend to just like fill my way in. So my wowser, my white wowser, I know it's a good starting up bait. I'm not going to get any little fish on at the start with. Like, if you can put maggots and stuff through, you can find you get like little perch and gudgeon and skimmers, but you don't really want to catch. But say if this doesn't happen within 10 minutes, and I'll just put literally a straight 12 QM1 on and put 3 or 4 maggots on.
Yeah.
Then if it was still not happening, like you've got a few liners there.
Yeah, there's obviously an odd fish there.
Yeah, if it wasn't happening, then I'd even think about cramming my feeder full of maggots, like try and make something happen. Like, you're fishing it like you are down the margins. But you've got to remember is that hook link could land anywhere around your feeder. It's not like the perfect trap. So if you just chucked it and left it, you've got no food near your feeder. So that's why you need to be in and out all the time. So your hook bait's landing around some sort of food. So I'll literally give this another 10 seconds, I'll whiz it back in. So it's quite warm. I want to sort of make something happen a bit. I'm not going to be too lazy, because the fish are starting to wake up.
And also, like last night, it's been like a real cold night. So obviously it's taking a while at the minute for the water to warm up.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, you've got to build the swim as well. Like, in the summer, like I was saying earlier, you'd be in and out even 30 seconds, like really making it happen. Because you've got to get the fish in your swim. Then when you're in your swim, you got to make the most of it.
Because usually like 9 times out of 10 in the summer when you chuck the feeder out, usually it goes round like instantly, doesn't it?
Yeah, so that's had a couple of indications, but it's not moved. A lot of people sit there, go on the phones, but it's not right here. So what I'm going to do now is pick it up and do exactly the same again.
You mean like you've got to keep like real busy?
Yeah, you got to keep busy. Like, if you sit there, you're never going to catch a great big weight doing it like that.
No. So like
You gotta get
you're
some-
trying to act as though they're coming to your to
Yeah.
the noise kind of thing.
Yeah, they're going to come. They're not going to come to you. You've got to make them come to you,
Yeah.
especially a lot of pegs. So again, whiz that to that post. Well, near the post. Obviously, as well, you're chucking a cage feeder. It's not like a method feeder that can go off with a wind a bit and things like that.
Yeah, because like today it's a bit of a side wind.
Yeah, got a
crosswind.
bit of a horrible crosswind.
And today, like that wind is not very warm at all, is it?
No, it's a cold wind. That's why I've started quite negative with micros and a white bait as well, because it's quite clear in the edge today. It's just a funny time of year. We've had like snow and all sorts, haven't we?
Yeah.
So
Like the water's still freezing, to be honest with you.
yeah, you just got a slight tension in that tip. Again, repeat the process. 4 or 5 pellets on your long pole line. Just ping them out, and then same again down the edge.
That's usually a great line, isn't it? That the
Yeah.
14 metre line with hard pellets. That's usually a good line here at the Glebe, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in the middle of the summer, at 14 metres I would feed casters, just because to catch great big weight here in the summer, you don't generally catch it on the bottom out there because the fishing's too good. You've got to catch shallow, so. But what I'd do then is I'd throw my hard pellets literally like 5 or 6 metres here, and
Yeah.
then feed casters that. I'd basically swap it round.
And then like when you're fishing like casters here in the summer, you don't always usually fish like a bunch of dead maggots or something like that. On
Yeah,
there. That
like
works
4 or
really well,
5
doesn't
dead
it?
maggots. You can even catch hanging it when they're really having it. You don't even, because you can't slap here obviously, so
No.
again we've had no indications this cast, but it's not to worry. You've got to build it up. You've got to keep really working it, because when they do turn it, you can have 5 and 5 casts and it might go a bit slow again, but when they turn up, you've got to be in and out as quick as you can while you've got them fishing your peg.
And that's why you're building your other lines up at the minute.
Yeah,
so that,
yeah.
So that you've always got something else to
Yeah,
drop
but
back
I'm not hammering bait. I'm feeling my way into them areas, just getting a bit of bait in the area to get the fish there and interested. Like I'm not too bothered if they come up off the bottom or anything like that,
No.
because when I go on it, then I'll get indications on my float to tell me what's going on, and I can change my feed into get them to go on the bottom or what I want them to do. So again, we've had no bites there, so
Would
pick
you
it
ever
up.
like change the colour of your hook baits or anything like
yeah,
that?
I'd give it like 3 or 4 casts maybe. Like I'm confident in this bait here. I know it works.
Yeah.
So I generally like to start on this and sort of see how it goes. So again, reload the feeder. Plugging my mic, not ramming my micros really hard in my feeder. I want them to come out quite quick.
Yeah, that's another reason like why you're using scretting pellets. Obviously, like copping pellets, they're quite sticky.
So very good. Look, everyone does that as well. That weren't my best cast, but don't worry about it because you're still getting bait in the swim.
Yeah.
You're not
Because here on 86, it's actually quite a chuck over there, isn't it?
yeah, it's decent chuck. I mean, it's not going to do any harm because you can get a bit of food in anyway.
Like using scretting micros to coppins is a lot better than coppins, isn't it?
See that one? That is miles better.
Yeah,
Like, there's
that's
no
not too
point leaving
bad,
that other
yeah.
one if he's not confident. Everyone does it as well. Because it's quite a decent chuck using a cage feeder as well, so. Sink my line.
Like sometimes, when you're sinking your line here, sometimes you get a real quick bite, don't
Yeah,
you?
definitely. When the fish turn up in your peg, when it's proper solid, you normally get most of your bites sinking the line.
Yeah.
But you just got to keep plugging away, feeding other lines. It's no good just sitting there and sulking your head thinking, oh, they're not there. You've got to make something happen. You can just switch on like really fast.
Because over there where you're chucking, what sort of depth would you say that is over there?
Probably sort of like 2 foot, something like that. As well, if I wasn't catching, like I had a match here last year, I was chucking tight across and you're foul hooking them because there's so many fish in your peg and it was too shallow. Just by coming literally a foot or 2 back, it resulted into a fish every cast, just coming in that slightly deeper water. So we're like, it's another thing as well, people will chuck it in the same place and they'll just think, oh, there's no fish there. But if it's not working, don't be afraid to try coming a bit closer or chucking a slightly different place, because we don't really know what's under the water. It's not like plumbing up and fishing a pole. there could be something in there like some roots or some branches, and
Yeah,
you would
because it
never
looks
know.
over there, there's like a little bit of like
Yeah,
briars
they've
or
cut all
brambles and that.
They've cut all the trees back as well, so that you don't really know what's under there.
No.
So,
Would you ever like opt to like chuck the feeder down the bank, or would you ever like, would
Yeah,
you
if I
ever
was-
just keep chucking it where you are to the post?
if I was fishing like an MPEG, if you're fortunate enough to draw an MPEG like today, then I'd probably chuck like a waggler up to the aerator or something, because the problem you've got is chucking a feeder to that aerator, they're probably likely to wrap you around the posts.
Oh, little
Oh.
drop back there, Sam. Oh,
There's
there's
another
one.
one, Tom.
That didn't take too long, did it?
No.
Few casts.
Yeah, trying to get me on that aerator. That white wowser's worked good today, isn't it?
Yeah, that's charging. That's trying to get you snagged
Yeah.
on that aerator.
Yeah, to pull a bit there. Yeah, we've had quite a few bites on the white wowser, haven't we, Tom? It's been no real need to change today.
No, it's a visual hook bait, which is what they've been looking for.
Yeah. Just with that clarity of water, I think that's why it's been good.
This lake's really clear at the minute.
Yeah, it's just that funny tinge, isn't it? It's like got a bit of colour, but it's still on that change. It's just them cold nights, I think, it's affecting it a bit. But we still had a few bites on the feeder, haven't we?
Yeah, this is like the third fish.
Yeah. I mean, we've not even had to try dead maggots yet, but I still wouldn't rule it out if we were to carry on this.
No, because as the day goes on, usually, like if they go off like the
Yeah.
white wowser, the dead maggots can be good, can't it?
Yeah. There you go. Another thing as well with the landing net, Tom, is I've got a fine mesh.
Yeah.
So when you're using wowsers and hair rigs, it's never going to get caught up and snap your hair rig, which I've had it in the past where you end up getting through loads of hook links, and we all don't like tying hook links, do we? So
No.
in the lip. Nice fish, about 3.5 pounds. Should we have a go on the long pole now?
Yeah, I reckon now we should have a go on the long pole,
Yeah.
and where you've been loose feeding some pellets.
Yep. So we'll have a go on that now.
Right, so Sam's caught a few fish on the feeder. That's dying now, so now he's going to switch to the pole line, which he's been loose feeding with pellets. So hopefully now, where he's builded the swim up at 14 metres, hopefully now he's going to go in and get a good run of carp on that 14 metre line. So over to you, Sam.
Yeah, so we've fished the feeder for a bit. We had a good start, but like any session, it's gone a bit iffy. So what we're going to do now is we're going to pick up the pole line, have a go on the long pole. So I've been priming this with about 4 to 5 6mm pellets every time I've cast the feeder out. So I'm hoping there should be a few fish in the area. So the way I'm going to start off on this line, I've got a 6mm pellet on the hook. Then I'm literally going to put 10 6mm pellets in. And what I'll do is I'll start off with that amount of bait and then just see literally what response I've got. And I've had massive weights here, just literally feeding 6 pellets. If you're on the fish, you don't have to feed that much. Normally the more bait you feed, the more problems you have with foul looking fish. So what I'll do is I'll ship out to 14 metres, and then when I'm going to drop my bait in, I'm actually going to drop it from a bit of a height to make some noise. So I'm just going to rattle a few in like that, and I'm literally just going to see what sort of response I get. Now if I'm getting liners and foul lookers and everything like that, then I'll try just sneaking the bait in, not making any noise. But if I go in and like I try that and I'm not getting any response, and I'll just literally up the feed but make the noise as well to try and force them down.
Another good thing about that floaters as well, Sam, it's like real visible. 'Cause
Yeah.
today, like the sun's in and out, the light's real like.
Yeah, it's
Do you know
got a
what I mean?
2mm hollow tip, so it's really visual.
Yeah.
Another thing as well, you can see I've got quite a lot of float bristles showing out. That's just because you get a lot of liners when you're fishing here.
Yeah.
So you're just waiting for a big fast.
And also you're
Shoot on
fishing
the
like what size float are you fishing there?
It's a 0.5 that is. So it's not a really heavy float. I normally generally carry, for deck fishing for carp, I either use a 0.5 for fishing out in the lake, anything over 5 foot in Mick Wilkinson Diamonds, carry a 0.5 and a 0.75.
Yeah, obviously if it's like a little bit windy or if it's real windy,
Yeah,
you want to pin it.
I find the 0.5's better. The lighter float always seems better, but the 0.75 when the conditions are bad, they sit really good because they're like a long float as well. They're just super stable, which is exactly what you want. You can see we've had a little pimple bubble there. There we go. So with that bite as well, you don't have any messing around with little dibs and dabs, but Just take your time, just ping some pellets in that area. As you can see, this is where the grey hydro comes into its own. The fish go absolutely mental it. Oh. See, we're foul up that now, even though it didn't look foul up. What we'll do now is we're going to sneak the bait in. So it was obviously foul up how the way it went and that. So I think that's a good
demonstration. Still feed the same amount of pellets that you went out there with?
No, well, yeah, I'm going to start that, but I'm going to make no noise now.
Yeah.
But I'll show you. But that's a good demonstration to how the fish come up if you make too much noise. But on some days, that can be the right thing to do.
Like another good thing about that floaters as well, as you can see now on the camera, it's like you've got a bit of a side wind on now, and it's not a very warm wind today, and it's you can get a skim on the water, which that's why them diamond floats, they come in real well. Yeah. Because it stops the skim of the water, like the float moving. I mean, that keeps it still.
That bite, that did look like a proper bite, but obviously wasn't, because they've got such big fins and stuff. These fish are so big. Anything they touch that bulk or float with, you're going to get a positive bite anyway. So, but what I'm going to do now is we dropped it from that sort of height, didn't we?
Yeah.
To make that almost like the catapult noise. What we're going to do now is we're literally just going to sneak them in a few inches above the surface. We're making no noise now. But I think that was a good, really good demonstration to what can happen when you make too much noise. If I just sat there with a catapult, just kept doing that, you can imagine how many would foul up.
So like now, you're not going to loose feed any pellets with a catapult, are you?
No, only when I hook a fish to get a peg. It's only like throwing your bait out when you hook a fish short. It's the same principle long. I just ping a few to get them fish in the area. But only when I've hooked the fish, to get the next fish there competing.
Yeah.
I'm literally now just being patient. I've just set my little trap and then just hoping one home's into it. See how we're getting them in liners now?
Yeah, you just had an indication there.
So what could be happening is I'm putting them pellets in them, fish are coming up. So now I'm thinking I might have to feed 20 pellets. See all these little indications we're getting now?
Yeah.
Look, there's one just swelled, you see?
Yeah.
So what I'm feeding now is probably not enough. We'll sit it out.
There's more fish there at the minute than what you're feeding for.
Yeah. So because I'm feeding quite little, they're competing, so they're coming up. So they're trying to come shallow for it, competing for the food. So I'm initially thinking now that isn't right. I'm feeding. So next truck I'll feed 20 pellets.
Yeah.
And I'll make no noise because it looks like they're trying to come up. But by starting like this, you're not blowing your peg before you started.
Because then, for instance, if it carried on like this and you was getting loads of line bites or anything like that, you could always change to pinging pellets and then swinging a rig around like a shallow rig.
Yeah, shallow. Yeah, you could have a couple of shallow rigs on the go, but you normally can find a way to pin them down. But by starting like this, you're not lashing bait in and completely ruining your peg before you started. You can feel your way into it.
Yeah. As
you can see now, I initially fed and had a couple of indications straight away, but it's not hardly any indications now.
You can tell as the days gone on, progressed, there was no fish showing, and now there's an odd fish moving about and swirling, and they're looking for food.
Yeah. See, that was a proper bite. Waited quite a while, but initially a few come up to that. I'm just going to ping a few over in the area just to try and get the next fish up. But you see how we had waited a while, but we got a proper bite.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for. I don't matter if you're waiting slightly longer. As long as you get a proper bite and a fish in the mouth, it's about right.
So now you got this fish in the mouth. Are you still going to up your feed to 20 pellets, or would you?
I'm going to do the same again and just see how it goes, because I got a lot less bites once it settled down a bit. There's one. You see as well that grey hydro. A couple of pulls on the puller kit, they're coming dead easy.
Yeah. Nice and soft and powers up quite fast.
Nice carp.
It's not a bad start, first putting.
Yeah. As you can see, just changed me feeding like that. That little slight change, just the amount of noise you made and how you cup it in, it's made a difference straight away.
Would you not opt to just taking your toss pot off and then pinging pellets? Would you not opt to that?
You can do. Some days, say if I wasn't getting any indications or anything in my swim, it was just dead, then I would pick the catapult up. I think when it's like that, you do need to make some noise, but because I've got a lot of fish in my peg, there's just no need to. You're just going to make it even worse. But if you wanted to fish shallow, you can do, but I always think there's a way to get them down the bottom of this venue. So I've had it when I fished short before by just changing how I feed. So sometimes I've run a fish, sprinkling it loudly, then when you get quite a few fish in your peg, just sneaking it in, managed to get bites on it all day almost.
Yeah.
So there's definitely something to it.
And like usually on here, if you was going to fish shallows, you don't usually fish pellets, do you? Usually you fish casters.
Yeah, casters, but that's something else we'll probably have to cover when it's a lot warmer. This time of year, I'd definitely fish like this. So again, we're going to go for roughly 10 pellets. I know
you always find 6mm coppins are the best pellets on here?
Yeah, well 6mm carp pellets I use, which are coppin pellets. Personal preference, but I just like the size of them and how they sink fast.
Yeah, because if you was using a skretting pellet or skretting 6mm pellet in that sort of depth of water, like they sink a lot slower.
Yeah,
so
a lot more dense these pellet. They're also, I like the size of them as well. I think they're just a nice size. So I've shipped out again to my mark. What I'm going to do again, I'm just going to tap it in from a just above the water.
When you're lining up your marker on the far bank, like Sam there, he's used his marker as where he's been chucking his feeder to the post. So,
so again,
obviously it's something that's never going to move. You want to make sure he's being as accurate as you can.
Right, some milk baits on. Again, the way I'm going to lay my rig in, I drop the bulk over where I'm fishing. I literally just put it all down till my float's just about to cock. Then what I do is hold it about a foot above the water. Just let that rig straighten out.
As though so your pellets drop in similar sort of speed
and
as
I've had it before. When I just lower it in slowly like this, I've had it sometimes when the carp ripped the elastic out. See how I had indication there?
Yeah. There's a lot of fish there now because there's a few fish swirling there as well.
Yeah, I've just noticed that as well. Like they've come straight to that feed. So next chuck, 20 pellets is probably going to be tried. To do exactly the same again.
Would you still? You're still going to sneak the pellets in, yeah?
Yeah, I think because there's that many fish there, I think it's the only option to do it. Do it like that, so. But that could have been just a random one swimming by, it went into your line, so. It's a trial and error really until you find what's best on the day. Another thing as well, you can see me pot's quite a tall pot. It's a medium guru pot. And the reason I like this is because I can vary how much I feed, but also it's quite tall so the pellets don't bounce out when you're shipping in and out.
Yeah, and like another thing, now you've sneaked them pellets in. Before, when you was like rattling them in from a height, you was getting indications. Like now, your float's just sat there. That's how you want it.
Yeah.
You don't want it so that you're rattling pellets in. You're getting loads of liners, foul hookers. If they start charging through your peg, it can ruin your peg.
Obviously, we had that indication we dropped it in, but that might have been one passing. But we're getting a lot less bites now, aren't we? So, but just them little tiny changes, you can just see on the float how much difference it makes. See as well, we've not had a bite for a couple of minutes, so I'm just going to lift and drop it again. Now, lifting and dropping, some people like to do it from like float length, a couple of bristle lengths. Everyone's different. I like to vary it. I do. Sometimes 2 foot and let it just flutter past them.
Yeah.
Some of them days not really having it, it just catches the eye of a fish.
Like that's good now. Like you sat there, you're not getting any line bites. You know, as soon as that float goes under now, it's going to more likely be a proper bite.
I mean, if it even stayed like this, I wasn't getting any bites, I'd try what I did before. Because it could have been, because you've just gone on it, the fish are not being caught, they're rushing in because they're not being caught, they don't know what's going on, and you catch a couple and they go a bit clever. See, that was a good bite. But again, it could have been a line bite. But you see, we're getting a lot less indications now.
Like you're always swinging your rig out as well. You're not letting it go straight down.
You see some anglers who just drop it down and not pay attention to how they lay the rig in. Like I like everything to be absolutely perfect and set trap.
Like that's absolutely key how you lay your rig in, really.
Yeah,
I mean, you could get tangles on the way down. Your hook length could get wrapped around your shot. Or anything like that. Look, when you lay it in, it's just performing a perfect arc, so it looks like a pellet that's actually being like tapped in.
Yeah. The thing is as well with laying your rig in, I like to always lay it. It's personal preference, but I like to lay it into the toe, so it just straightens it out nicely.
So like into the wind.
Yeah. So say if the wind was in my face, I'd flick it past and let me bolt come on.
Yeah.
Just the way I like to do it. See, we get these little indications again now. So I might have to change my feeding again.
It was like as though it's took them like probably 2 minutes to come back in your peg from when you was like fed your pellets.
Yeah.
But now like there's a few there, so they're
I
competing again.
Yeah, I don't mind waiting. As long as I get a proper bite, it's only a couple of minutes in it. I'm not too fussed, because it's right when you catch them. If you're hooking them in the mouth and getting them out, you're doing it right. But if you're foul hooking them and getting a mess, it just causes havoc. Like you smash rigs, smash top kits, everything.
And like not only that, it just trashes your swim as well, doesn't it?
Yeah. You can just disturb it and just end up, the bottom churns up, you know what it's like. It just be a nightmare.
Most of the lakes, like they've got a lot of silt in them, and if like the fish start stirring up the silt,
yeah,
like it's a bit of a nightmare, isn't it? With like,
yeah, especially these lakes, this distance. This is why you got to be, another thing why you got to be careful how you feed it, because of the silt. If they ever up that silt, it just causes problems with foul hookers and all sorts like that. As you can see now, we've not really getting any bites now. We've snuck that bait in. We've had a couple of indications, but it's not quite right. So what I'll do in a second is I'll come back and feed 20 pellets, but from a bit of a height.
To make a little bit of noise again.
Yeah, just that
like,
noise.
Get a few fish back.
Yeah, but hopefully enough bait to get them fish to go down.
So it pins them to the bottom.
Yeah, it's like before. We made that noise. They've all come rushing in, but because there's not enough there, they've not followed it down.
And like just going off like the long line kind of thing, if you was feeding your short line, say your 5 metre line, which you'd fish hard pellets there again, would you chuck or pot? Would you do a bit of the same?
I do a bit of both. What I normally do is, when I'm not fishing it, I throw a few, and then when I'm fishing it, I like to pot my bait.
Yeah.
So I make like a little pinpoint area where the fish can home in on my hook bait.
Because I know like you've had some great weights here on the short line.
Yeah, I've had it where I catch short all day, but basically fishing very similar to this, but short.
Yeah.
But I always like to throw to get fish in the area, because they're attracted to that noise. But
you always you'd use the same rig as well, like what you're using out there.
Yeah, exactly the same. The only difference I'd make is I'd fish a bulker rod rather than a bulker 2. That's just because I want it to get it down a bit faster, because them fish, when they come short, they're coming there to feed.
Yep.
It's a bit more positive. But as you can see, we've had no indications of this chuck. So what I'm going to do,
you're going to feed a few more pellets now, are you?
Yeah, I'm going to up it to probably 20 pellets now, but make noise. Because obviously, not making noise, we caught that one, but we're getting no indications now.
Another thing is, would you ever change your pellet? You know, like, because it's been in the obviously it's been in the water now.
If it's in quite a while, I mean, that's not been in there too long, so it wouldn't bother me too much.
Like coppins, they pretty much stay in the same shape, don't they? So it's not so bad. Like if you're like a skretting pellet, like 6mm pellet, as soon as it takes on water, it like blows up. So like, and you can tell you need to change your pellet, don't you?
Yeah, that's the thing with it as well. Like the skrettings, you almost got like an expander.
Yeah.
The only way you can get around it is to put a lot of pellet oil and stuff like that on. What we've done now, we just put 20 pellets in and just see what response we get. Another thing as well, shipping out, so you see some people shipping out really fast. I don't want to be spilling bait over the water.
No.
Take your time.
You need to keep all your swim nice.
I mean, one of the best anglers ever is like Andy Findlay. He just takes his time.
Yeah.
But again, what we're going to do now, we're going to make some noise. So back to the same height. You can see we've got that nice noise, which the fish would be attracted to.
Now, hopefully, you might get a response of like where there's a few fish come back in your peg, they've heard that noise, and
so now we might get a load of indications again. We'll just have to see. But it's no point rushing and trying to make it happen straight away. Like even if it takes you half an hour, once you get it right, they're big fish anyway, so you don't need that many. A lot of the time you get.
But you had a bit of an
indication.
I've had an
indication
then, didn't you?
there, yeah. Just lift that up again. So that just shows you how they like that noise. That's a bit of a liner on the way down. I mean, you probably will catch a few shallow today, but for demonstration purposes, I think this is really good to show people how the feeding changes your peg. See, we had an indication there. So that was a liner. But you can get a few liners once you've fed anyway. It's just nature of what happens.
That's probably like where they're stirring up the bottom, or there's probably.
See, another indication. The trouble is, what we had before is we fed less, but made no noise, but we didn't get enough indication. It just went dead, didn't it? So let's get that lifted and drop.
Like that lifting and dropping does work like really well. Like you
See
had a
about
bite
little
then
bar,
straight away,
yeah.
do you know what I mean?
Some people don't like it, but I like to do it every sort of...
To keep working your rig, because the
Yeah.
more you work, the more you can get out of it.
Yeah, I think the fish out there as well, some are just coming out and have a look. I think you can just get them extra fish by giving it a lift and drop.
Like it's a little bit the same as like a bit of the feeder really. Like if you keep working hard and keep reeling in and out, I know like it's hard work, but that can pay off because you just get more bites.
Yeah, if you work hard and then everyone else around you normally get the rods at the end of it. See that?
That was a proper bite.
Yeah. We've waited long, like, we fed more, we had a few indications, but that worked straight away. Few pellets.
Like that grey hydra as well, like it doesn't,
Yeah, just
it's like soft and it lets them swim out your peg. It doesn't go disrupting the peg. So if there's any more fish there, it's not going to disrupt them at all.
That's the thing as well. It just lets them do what they want, and they almost tire themselves out on it. Like black, they can. I do like me black here, but some days it's absolutely crazy here, like that one. You can just let them go around and tire yourselves out. If you fish too heavy last, they just break you.
Because like you were saying, like you fish well, you'd probably fish 020 mainline to like an 018 or an 019 hook length in the summer. Like that's not taking no prisoners, is it?
I mean, I'm fishing 017 today, but middle of summer I use 019. I've been broke on 019, so it just proves how hard the fight. But this elastic's got so much stretching, you can just take your time. I mean, it's pointless rushing. Like today, because we're coming into spring, it could be quite hard.
Yeah, and like the fish's mouths are obviously still quite soft.
Yeah.
So if you had like say black,
See, that's going again.
You see like quite a lot of people use like real heavy elastic.
Yeah.
That comes out like say a foot, and like that can like cause foul pulled hooks, or like the hook can pull out.
I mean, some of these fish in here, they go up to 12, 13, 14 pound, and that's a massive fish really for a commercial now.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the match can be a big difference. You hear people going, "Oh, I pulled out the fish," and you're just taking your time. I've done it. We've all been guilty of it in the past. Like you catch it late on and you pull like crazy, and you think, "Oh, that one's cost me." It's just not worth it.
There's a amount of times in matches where you get to the end and like there's like one or two fish in it. It's so tight, and like this could like be key to if you're fishing too heavy elastic.
Yeah.
Where this can like get you that extra fish in the net, which can be between winning and losing.
So what I do now, I'll get to your top kit and then just keep the pole low. Just slowly get a few pulls. And then when I sort of feel it's the time to lift, you'll see it, the fish sort of keeps coming your way. But don't be afraid to add sections on if you've got to, it's just one of them. So keep it low. Sorry, about to took your head off. Keep it low. As you can see, it's spring and it's still going mental. I don't even think it's big fish.
Here at the Glebe, they absolutely love pellets, don't they?
Yeah. Bring it up sideways.
Like that fish is only like 5 or 6 pound.
Yeah, but they just go mental. There you go. Net it like that. Just be patient. It just shows you, doesn't it? So, good fish as well. It's not massive for the Glebe standards, but it's still a good fish.
Right, so Sam, so you've had a good last like 45 minutes on the pole on our pellets on the long pole.
Yeah, we've had plenty of bites, haven't we? But I think that demonstration just shows exactly like I need to get your feeding right and what you can do to make your peg work better and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, and another thing is now, like you've got a different depth down the edge where we're going to go to now.
Yeah.
And like it's probably 3 foot down there. When out on the long pole, it's 5 foot.
Yeah, so it's almost half
you're
the
getting
depth.
a few liners. So like they're probably today with the sun being out, it's the warmest part of the lake.
Yeah.
And so they'll probably want to be in the shallowest water. So down the edge here, it's got 3 foot. So they'd probably be feeding better in that, and you won't be getting so many liners.
Yeah.
So I think now if we go down the edge, hopefully we should have a good end to the session.
Yeah, so let's have a go down the edge, eh?
Right, Sam. So you've had a few fish on the long pole, but obviously you're getting a lot of line bites now, and you're in like 5 foot of water. So now we're going to move to down the edge where you've got how much? You've probably got about 3 foot.
Well, 2.5, 3 foot, something like that. So basically half the depth of water. So what we've done is we've plumbed up tight to the bank. We've come down until we've found sort of the bottom of where the rocks are, because when you're fishing the rocks, you get your bait can go anywhere. So I always find it best to come on to the end of them where you got the flat bottom. So that's what we're going to do, Tom. So in terms of feeding, like, we're just going to do exactly what we did on the long line and see how we go, really. So 10 pellets.
You've been pinging some pellets down there all the time, haven't you?
Been pinging 4 or 5 pellets down there, and now it's time just to, exactly like that other line, it's time to see what sort of response we get.
It's getting to that sort of the time of the day now. It's like in the afternoon, so the fish now are wanting to have a feed. So now he's been getting like a lot of indications out there, but now he's going to go down the edge and hopefully there's going to be a lot of fish down there and they're wanting to feed, and there should be bigger down the edge as well. So hopefully he's going to go down here, 14 metres. He's been feeding it all day, which it wouldn't surprise me if he goes straight in and gets one straight away.
Yeah.
And hopefully there'll be a bit bigger stamp and something to end the session on.
Yep. So literally again, 10 pellets in the pot, dead simple.
You start in there with a strung ball, can't you?
Yeah, slightly strung ball, but if I got a lot of liners indications, I'll just literally fish a bulk on top of the uplink, dead positive. No need to mess about. Again, just nice steady ship out, no rush. Worst thing you can do is spill bait all over your peg.
Obviously, because there's quite a bit of scum down this edge as well, isn't there?
Yeah.
So sometimes it can make you rig real hard to get in, can't it?
Yeah, as you can see, I'm good. I'm quite a way off the bank as well, but it doesn't bother me because the fish are already in that area, and I'd rather just fish at the bottom of them, like I said, them rocks, because it just I've tried it before and it just causes problems.
Yeah,
so,
you want to be fishing on like a level playing pitch, really, don't you?
So the way I'm going to feed it is exactly the same as a long line. I'm going to make a bit of noise. So 10 pellets, sprinkle them in like that.
Like when you're fishing in that sort of depth of water though, you can make a bit of noise, like a bit more noise, because your pellets are getting to the bottom a lot faster.
Yeah, and what I like to do in my rig, I like to lower it dead slowly, because you can get the odd one shallow. The fish are already there. If they're really having it, you can get them, rip the elastic out. You just drop that in. Just drop it again, it's caught in a bit of a scum. You can see as well, I've got loads of float showing out. That's because you're going to get a lot of fish up that bank.
Yeah, you need to be able to see what a positive bite is.
You
like
see,
you
like
just
all
have
them,
an indication then.
You're waiting for a really positive under.
That is
And if you had it dotted down, as you can see, I'm getting loads of indications like that. That's a proper bite. By having that bristle like plenty out, it identifies.
So now you're just going to
bites.
loose feed some pellets now, aren't
Yeah.
you? Just
Going to pull him away because it's trying to go for that bank, which is always
using that grey hydro again there.
So ping some pellets in the area. It doesn't have to be exactly perfect, but
yeah, using that grey hydro there again.
Yeah,
there,
got grey hydro.
It's shallow water.
Yeah.
So the fish is like swimming out your peg. It's not making too much disruption.
Yeah, as you can see as well, the shoot up the bank at this place. And by fishing grey, you can just let them. If I fish black, they just break me. I've done it here before. I find grey's just so much better.
Like that's trying to get you in them reeds.
Just be patient and just hold your pole at an angle. It's quite brutal fishing. I mean, if that was black, that'd have snapped me, Tom. So
yeah. Like what a grey hydro. It's so forgiving.
Yeah, it's probably one of my favourite elastics, to be honest. Like, there's loads of it coming out there, but I never felt like I'm going to get broke either.
No, it's always got that little bit extra on it.
Yeah. You can see that stretching miles, but it's turned it round now. It's almost tired itself out. Let's get back on the puller kit, get a few strips of elastic. When it's in netting range, you might be able to get it first time.
If you don't knock me out first.
Yeah, if I don't knock you out. Like that.
So
see how easy that was?
Perfect, that was.
That soft elastic, it just allows you to do that. So that's a nice fish, if I don't knock you out. See, like, it's almost
like the fish down there, like the fish down the edge are a lot bigger than out in front.
You notice as well, like, it come in quite easy and it's going mental in the net because the way I played it and the soft elastic, it doesn't really know what's going on. There's not much resistance. Right, so we'll repeat again what we've done. We'll try and catch another one, and then what I'll do is I'll put like 25, 30 pellets in and just show the cameras how it messes your peg up and how hectic it goes.
Or on the other hand, it might just make it better.
Yeah, or it might make it better.
You never know.
Yeah, but the way I'm thinking is that it'll probably make it absolutely ridiculous with the amount of line bites you get.
Because it's coming to that sort of time of the day at the minute where like the fish are wanting to feed. So like you've got the perfect depth down there, like 2.5 foot for hard pellets is absolutely spot on.
Yeah.
I think for these size fish in here, like they're average anywhere from like, well you've seen, anywhere from like 5 to like 10 pound.
Yeah.
So if that's like a perfect depth for them to feel comfortable feeding in. It's not too shallow, it's not too deep, and hard pellets, you've not got any micros or anything like that that's going to cause any disruption for any line bites or anything like that. So hard pellets is just a lot more, I don't know, like it stops liners, doesn't
Yeah, when I can get away, it's just easy to catch on hard pellets because they're so dense and you can feed less of it. So this time I've had a lot of indications last cast, didn't I? So what I'm going to do now is, again, I'm going to try sneaking the bait in. Just a little bit of noise.
Like you can see then, literally as soon as you drop your rig in, then you had a little indication.
But the fish live up these banks naturally. So then lower that in slowly.
Like how you're lowering that in slowly there, like you could, like if it was absolutely solid, you might just get one, pull your elastic out.
Yeah, I mean you can catch shallow down the edges. It can be that good, but some people, what they do is they pile micros and corn right tight against the bank. They get too many fish in the peg, and that's when you mess your peg up on these. You know, if you're on a qualifier and you get a chance on one of these end pegs,
yeah,
you got
you
got
don't
to be
want to like, blow your
yeah.
chance.
I mean the fish already live there, so try and catch them quite steadily.
And not only that, I always think like when I'm fishing, when I'm feeding like down the edge, I always think if you can see them and they're big carp, like you don't want to be seeing them. You want them to be swimming into your peg. You want them eating. You don't want them tailing up, causing like just stirring the bottom up, making it look like a washing machine.
Yeah,
it's just no good. You need to be able to get them feeding on the bottom so you're getting proper bites. You don't want to be foul looking like 10, 15 pound carp because you're just going to lose everything. It's absolutely pointless.
And you could even snap your pole or your rig, anything when you hook fish that big, like when you foul hook them. So you can see though straight away we've had less indications how we fed like that.
Like
there's always an indication.
All day, you've been priming that line.
Yeah.
So like you've gone on it and there's a lot of fish there. Like straight away you can tell there's a few fish feeding.
Yeah. I mean that's another thing I like, quite a lot of float bristle showing out. There's that many fish there, like
another thing, like even without a pot on at the minute, like just pinging some pellets down there.
That'd be chaos.
Yeah, you'd have too many there then.
That's why I do have that amount of bristles sticking up, because when you get a bite, the whole thing will just go. It almost rips your elastic out under there proper.
Like,
see, I did have less indications at the time, but it didn't really make a lot of difference to how I've had before.
Like there, you're going to feed 3 or 4 pellets.
4 or 5. Again, it doesn't need to be exactly the same hole. It can just in the area. If you all get them in competing in that same hole, it can at times. Not like F1s. It can be a nightmare with foul hookers because obviously the big fish.
Like today, it started off with a frost. So like
yeah,
they started off with a frost, and the water's obviously going to be cold, and then the warmest part of the water that's going to warm up first is obviously the shallowest water. And at the minute when I've been fishing, like the fish, it seems weird, but they want to be in the most shallowest water. So like today, like the sun's been up now, the warmest part of the water is probably going to be down the bank where you're fishing.
Yeah.
So I just think like that's probably where they want to be feeding and where the warmest part of the water is going to be. Because that wind today is absolutely freezing. It's like northeasterly wind.
Yeah, it's dead strange weather at the minute as well. Let's see, it's one of them little smaller ones that go absolutely mental. These are the ones you lose the most.
Yeah.
The hook pulls, so you just got to take your time.
Because it's still like spring at the minute. They've still got soft mouths. It's not like they've had loads of, like they've been caught loads in the winter, because obviously everyone knows carp, they all ball up in the winter and they don't feed. Well, unless you draw on the stack.
Yeah, if you draw on a pile, which you probably do.
Huh. Don't know about that. You're the draw bag.
Not anymore. You can see that it's going ballistic. This is why I like the light elastic, so I can just let go and you're not going to lose your hook link. Some people might find it a bit strange how I like light elastic, but I just sort of find it so much better. And on a hard day, you can take your time. There you go.
Usually you'd draw a peg like this, you'd need the crane, wouldn't you?
Yeah. You're going to be on for a big weight. As you can see, they've redone the peg so you can get more nets on it. But if you're lucky enough to draw these pegs, you can easily mess it up. Like, say if a pile ground bait in down the edge next to them reeds, you imagine how many foul hookers and stuff you're going to get.
Yeah. But yeah, you don't need to feed ground bait. What's the point in feeding ground bait and particles and whatever?
Catch them on solid baits like hard pellets, it just makes life easier. So what I'll do now is, I'll literally feed a whole cad pot full, just to show you what sort of response I get now when I do
What,
that.
so you're going to change now to feeding 20 pellets?
Yeah, no, even more than that, probably 30, just to show the viewers what it does. So it's not like feeding any other bait. So I'm going to feed quite a few now. I don't know, 25 pellets, something like that.
Yeah.
But what I'll do is...
Would you ever change from feeding like 6 mils? Would you ever have an 8 on the hook or something like that?
I try, a lot of the time I try to fish what I'm feeding, but say if I was fishing, there's a lot of fishing peg, big fish, and you get a lot of liners and stuff, that's when I like to fish heavy bait. It's just more the weight than anything. It just keeps
when I've always fished like hard pellets at like where there's big carp or whatever, sometimes where you like rattle a few 6 mil pellets out and then fish like an 8 on the hook, like for like Belingi at White, because that's another good example for it. That's like an 8 mil pellet on the hook there is usually pretty good, isn't it?
So what I'm going to do now is I put loads of pellets. I'm just going to drop it in from height just to see what happens. It might go straight under, but a lot of the time this won't be right. So a lot of people as well, they dump the rig in like that and they just wait for a bite.
Yeah.
So they've not laid it in or anything. I mean, it might be right today, but sometimes I've seen people do it before on these pegs. Just end up foul hooking everything. See the liners we're getting now, look, the float's sitting down.
Yeah.
Just get left in the drop.
Like during the day, it's just got better because like the weather this morning started off real cold, and then as the day's gone on, like you can see there's an odd fish cruising about now, and they're looking for the bait. Like it wouldn't surprise me now, like even though you fed 20 pellets down there, you probably will get one in the mouth.
It is probably time of day anyway where they want to eat, but normally if you did this in the middle of the day when they're a bit funny, it should be a nightmare. You're
better off just down there, if there's that many fish down there, you're better off just little and often. Just keep rattling a few like 6-8 pellets out. You want them eating your hook bait, do you know what I mean?
See that when it's probably time of the day.
Like that's even there, like you've rattled 20 pellets out there. Yeah. There's obviously got to be a few carp down there.
Yeah, they're eating now as well.
Yeah.
I would look to do this, but only, say if the fish were coming up off the bottom, I'd put more in and sneak it, but normally...
Like, a lot of people, that elastic's absolutely perfect.
Yeah, a lot of people go in and do that straight away and you can just completely ruin your peg. And this elastic's dead soft. Let's get on the puller kit. I mean, out on the long line, feeding like that was the right way, weren't it? So it's that time of day as well where the carp really like to feed, isn't it? So keep your pole low like that. Try not to knock you out. If you bring them up sideways like that, you normally can get them. Like I normally have my landing net
usually
where you are.
Usually you like get one chance, don't you? And if you miss it, then they go mad, don't they?
I normally have my landing net where you are, but for the purpose of the filming, I've just moved it so I didn't knock you out.
Yeah.
You can see that, eh?
You see that? That's probably like 5 or 6 pounds.
Well, once you get the head up, you can get them pretty much first time. That's a good fish. But that's hooked just outside the mouth as well, so it might have been trying to eat all that bait.
So then, Sam, we've had a great day down the edge, finished off with some massive fish down that edge.
Yeah, we've had a really good end to the day, haven't we, down the edge?
Yeah, brilliant.
I mean,
so hopefully now that's showing everyone today of like, we've started off on the feeder, it's been a slow start, caught a few fish, and then we've moved out onto the long pole line where it's like quite deep, 5 foot, rattled some pellets out there and pinged a few where some's been loose feeding, and then he's obviously started getting a few liners the fish are wanting to feed, so he's moved into down the edge in 2.5 foot of water, and that's been the best line. It's been a big carp, a chuck down there the last last hour. He hasn't stopped catching, and it hasn't really mattered the way he's fed it. If you feed, but there was that many fish there in the end, it's better if you just feed little and often and catch one fish and then feed for your next fish. You don't need to even bother loose feeding really, do you?
I mean, I think what we've proved today, the feeding's so important, isn't it? How to make it between getting them on a chuck and missing a load of bites or not getting a bite at all, isn't it?
100%.
So, yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed the video, and don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel Match Catch TV and follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Tight lines.